Welcome to this week's new FDA Approvals podcast. I'm Dr. Emma Hitt Nichols. This is information on the latest U.S. FDA approvals for the week of July 10th through 14th, 2023. Please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. That would be much appreciated, and tell your colleagues. Thank you. The FDA has approved the first ever over-the-counter birth control pill. Opill, O-P-I-L-L, has the generic name Norgestrel tablets and is a progestin-only daily oral contraceptive approved for use in all age groups. According to the manufacturer, Perrigo from Ireland, Opill will be available in stores in the U.S. in early 2024. As a progestin-based contraceptive, Opill works by thickening the mucus in the cervix, which can prevent sperm from reaching an egg. Opill also stops the release of eggs from the ovary and thins the lining of the uterus. In 8 U.S. clinical studies, providing a total of more than 21,000 monthly cycles of exposure, the pregnancy rate was approximately 2 pregnancies per 100 women in 1 year. That's about the same as most oral contraceptive methods and better than other over-the-counter methods such as condoms and spermicides. Approximately 17% of study participants discontinued Opill due to side effects, 2/3 of which were changes in bleeding patterns. Opill must be taken at the same time every day, with a backup method used if taken more than 3 hours late. According to a report from the Associated Press, medical societies and women's health groups have pushed for wider access to oral contraceptives, noting that an estimated 45% of the 6 million annual pregnancies in the U.S. are unintended. Also, last week, the FDA has approved a label update for Leqvio, Leqvio, that's also known as inclisiran, to enable earlier use in patients with elevated LDL-C who have an increased risk of heart disease as an adjunct to diet and statin therapy. The patient population includes those who have comorbidities such as hypertension and diabetes, but have not yet had a first cardiovascular event. Inclisiran, or Leqvio, was initially approved by the FDA in December 2021 and is the only small interfering RNA, siRNA therapy indicated for lowering LDL-C. Last week's updated indication for primary hyperlipidemia allows for the expanded use of Leqvio as an adjunct to diet and statin therapy beyond the previously approved atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and heterozygous familial hypercholesterolemia patient populations. Leqvio is administered as a single subcutaneous injection initially, again at 3 months, and then every 6 months. In the Orion clinical studies of Leqvio, the mean percentage change in LDL-C from baseline was approximately 50%, so that would bring a 100 milligram per deciliter LDL-C down to 50 milligram per deciliter. Common adverse reactions with Leqvio were injection site reactions, arthralgia, and bronchitis. Novartis, the manufacturer, has obtained global rights to develop, manufacture, and commercialize Leqvio under a license and collaboration agreement with Alnylam Pharmaceuticals. Also last week, Takeda announced the withdrawal of its U.S. Biologics License Application, BLA, for the Dengue vaccine candidate TAK-003. The decision comes after FDA requested additional data that were not included by the Phase 3 TIDES trial used for the application. This is a quote from Takeda in a written release. They said the future plan for TAK-003 in the U.S. will be further evaluated given the need for travelers and those living in dengue endemic areas of the U.S., such as Puerto Rico. TAK-003, also known as Qdenga, is already approved in Europe, the UK, Brazil, Argentina, Indonesia, and Thailand. TAK-003 is based on a live attenuated dengue serotype 2 virus, which provides the genetic backbone for all 4 serotypes of dengue. Recovery from infection by one serotype provides lifelong immunity against only that serotype, and later exposure to any of the remaining serotypes is associated with an increased risk of severe dengue disease. According to the CDC, an estimated 400 million people are affected with dengue virus each year, resulting in illness in 100 million and 21,000 deaths. Dengue, which is mainly spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, is the primary cause of acute febrile illness in U.S. travelers returning from South Central, Southeast Asia, South America, Mexico, and the Caribbean. The only available vaccine, which is Dengvaxia, was approved in the U.S. in 2019, but due to safety concerns, its use has been restricted to children 6 to 16 years of age with evidence of previous dengue infection and who live in endemic areas. The restriction was due to a safety concern where Dengvaxia resulted in increased rates of severe dengue with the vaccine compared to placebo in clinical trials. Currently, only 2 live attenuated tetravalent vaccines for dengue are in phase 3 clinical trials, and that is TAC-003, as we've been talking about, as well as TV-003, manufactured by Merck in collaboration with Brazil's Instituto Butantan. In addition to these vaccines, several antiviral agents are also in development for dengue. All right, that's it for this week. Please do check back every Monday morning for last week's approvals so that you can stay up to date. And again, please do tell your colleagues about this podcast, which is just now getting started since May 15th. All right, thanks a lot. This podcast is brought to you by Nascent Medical. If you're a project manager at a CME or medical communications agency and need on-call medical writing assistance, please visit us at Nascent Medical, nascentmc.com. We're a team of MD and PhD level medical writers, and we can create slide decks, white papers, ad board summaries, manuscripts, needs assessments, and much, much more in any medical area. We also do medical editing using AMA style and also fact checking. Visit us at nascentmc.com. And if you're a medical writer and you want to quickly look something up from this podcast, it's really easy. You can go to our podcast page at nascentmc.com, and there's now a search bar which will pull up the search notes from this podcast. So you can type in something like diabetes, and it'll bring up all the diabetes related agents that have been approved since May 15th when this podcast started. So it's a really great way of searching without bringing in the whole Google search to bear on the information. So definitely check that out. I think it's really useful for medical writers, especially when we're writing, needs assessments and things like that. We're also including the prescribing information with each summary too, to make it very convenient and easy to research agents further. Well, have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next Monday. Take care.